Hello friends, welcome back to the League of 72. It's time we graded every League One side. That's right, it's the perfect time. Not the end of the season, we're going to do it at half time. Why not? We're going to go through every single team in the EFL, and in fact, we've already done League 2. That video is on the League of 72 channel, so make sure you go and check that out after this one. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one, which will be the Championship. Let's kick off then, starting at the start of the alphabet, of course, with Accrington Stanley. Now, Accrington Stanley, I'm going to give them a B-. They've been plucky, but they shouldn't be underestimated. Accrington Stanley are currently sat a comfortable 10th place so far, above the likes of Ipswich, Charlton, Bolton, huge clubs in comparison to Accrington Stanley, which just shows how well they've done. Accrington Stanley are in the top half of the division. They finished 11th last season. The way they play, they give it a go against everyone, almost to their downfall at times. They've been a bit poor against the better teams and could maybe manage those games better and get themselves a few more draws. But with the same philosophy, they're still in the top half of the division, so you can't really have too much of a go at them for that. They've made 5 errors that have led to goals so far, so at times been a little bit silly in terms of how they play and not as structured as maybe they would want to be. So that drags down their score a little bit, but overall, great stuff again by Accrington Stanley. Afc Wimbledon, they're going to get a C so far because it looks like they're going to improve on their 19th place from last season. Last season, Wimbledon averaged 1.1 points per game and they finished in 19th place. This season so far, they're on 1.3 points per game and they're in 17th place. So, in terms of progression, yes, it's maybe a little bit slow, but it is progression all the same. Quality of football has been much better, a lot more exciting as well. And in Anthony Hartigan, they have seen someone who's been particularly impressive. That deep-lying midfielder, he's registered 4 assists so far this season. He's averaging 2 key passes per game as well. He's got 1.9 tackles per game, so he's very, very complete in how he's playing. And also the 3rd most passes into the final third out of anyone in League One so far. So he's been the star man for this Wimbledon side. Bolton Wanderers, I'm going to give them a C because they started off so well, but they've really dropped off. Now, granted, it's their first season back in League One, and fans, I think, might just about take survival. But I think when you start as well as Bolton did, and you've got someone like Ian Evatt who's so confident and effusive and has had the last few seasons that he's had himself as a manager, you start to dream. Since then, it's been, really, really poor. There's been a lot of injuries for the team as well. The season-ending injury to Josh Sheehan is a huge, huge loss and a big reason for that downward trajectory. And Dapo Afolayan, who I know Bolton fans were so excited about after his first few performances, I think we all were. I think he's a great example of what's going on at Bolton because he started excellently, but he's not scored a goal since the 23rd of October. So no need to panic for Bolton Wanderers fans, but overall, the second half of this first half of the season has been a real reality check. Burton Albion, I'm going to give them a B. They're working towards the future. Solid stuff for Burton under Hasselbank, and Burton are working towards a long-term future, which I think is something that often teams can't do and is something that is really, really exciting. They're also working within their means as well, which is important, but that transfer strategy is something that's worth talking about because it's a big part of their success so far. Their smart recruitment strategy where they're buying players who are good enough to come in and be important players straight away, but also have age on their side so they could have time to develop. And so both ways it works for them, either being a sellable asset or as someone who can grow with the club and hopefully grow into the Championship with the club. Key examples of this include the signing of Terry Taylor, who's 20 years old from Wolves, who's come in and done brilliantly in midfield, and Amari Patrick, again 25, who was brilliant for Carlisle last season. But for now, in a league with so many big clubs, Burton are safe in League One and can focus on that long-term vision. Cambridge United, B+. Many would have pegged them for relegation. Cambridge got promoted last season, but also lost their most prolific goal scorer in Paul Mullin to big spenders Wrexham in the summer. But Ironside up top has been fantastic for them. Wes Hoolahan at the age of 39 is still pulling up trees, and Cambridge currently sit in 16th place, 6 points away from the relegation zone, and I think if they were offered that at the start of the season, they would have completely taken that, as most people tipped them for relegation. And Wes Hoolahan, by the way, 5 assists this season and 2.6 key passes per 90. Absolute baller still. Charlton Athletic, C-. Expected more from the season, but it could still be a good one under JJ. Charlton are currently 10 points off 6th position. They would have expected much more than that, and it's going to be one hell of a season if they're able to get out of this. And that's why we had to give them C-, because the first half of the season has not been good enough. That said, Johnny Jackson is now the official manager of Charlton Athletic. I actually did an interview with him, so if you're watching this and you're a Charlton Athletic fan, or you're just a fan of Johnny Jackson, it's definitely worth watching. So make sure you go check that out when you get a chance. But so far, as he's come in, he's been an absolute breath of fresh air. 2 points per game so far since he took over. So, at the moment, they're in mid-table obscurity. But if they continue on the trajectory that Johnny Jackson's got them going, 2 points per game, they will certainly be in the playoffs. So this is one of those where, yes, we have to give them a C- now, but come May, this could turn into an A for sure. Cheltenham Town, A. Couldn't ask for much more. 14th in the league after getting promoted is more than anyone could have asked for Cheltenham Town going into this season. And that achievement is even bigger when you think that they lost Ben Tozer, the captain of this side, in the summer. Michael Duff has done a fantastic job. They've got the 6th highest XG when it comes to the league so far this season. That's incredible for a newly promoted side. And the star man so far has been Alfie May. He's been fantastic, continued that fantastic form from last season, but of course in a higher division. 7 goals so far this season from an XG of 6.78. That means that he's, is exceeding his XG, which shows that he's able to take harder chances than other players, and he's ready and of a quality to play in League One standard. Crewe Alexandra, it's a D, but it's an understandable D. They lay bottom of League One, and I kind of cut adrift at this moment in time. But it's an understandable D given the circumstances. If you think over the last 12 months, they've lost both their fullbacks to Championship sides. The fullbacks were so important for this Crewe side. And then you lose the homegrown talismanic figure of Charlie Kirk as well. You're going to struggle, especially when you don't replace them. Really tough time for Crewe Alexandra. Doncaster Rovers, it's a D for Doncaster. It's a D for deserved. Doncaster Rovers have had a really tough time of it, and they've just been well off the pace. If you ever look at XG, they've got the 4th most XG for goals conceded so far in League One with 33.65. You then have a look at how much they've created, and that's really where the problem lies. They've created the least XG by quite a distance, only 14.8 XG. If you look at the next worst, which is Morecambe, they've created the second least, which is 20.39. So for them to be that far adrift, a difference of 6 goals, the opposition are getting quite an easy ride when it comes to the defensive side of the game. Fleetwood Town, C. They're doing really well to stay in this division. Currently 18th in the league, 2 points off the relegation zone. And Fleetwood, if you have a look at their budget, and also have a look at the fact that they haven't had a manager for over a month now, then really I think a C is the kind grade that they deserve. At the moment, they're not at the panic stations just yet, and if they can finish 15th with a new manager, they get that new manager bounce, and maybe they're able to steer them clear from where they are right now, that would be looked upon as a successful season for Fleetwood. Gillingham, it's a D. They are not going to get anywhere in this division if they continue to be so soft at the back. Gillingham are on a slippery slope at the moment. They've lost their last 6 in all competitions, and as I said, they're just so porous at the back at the moment. They've conceded the most shots in the league at the moment, 271 shots faced. You then look at the amount of goals that they conceded, 34, which is the 8th most in the league so far, which doesn't sound too bad. But then you have a look at the XG, 37.77 expected goals against. So what that says to me is the fact that actually they've got a little bit lucky with the goals that they've conceded so far and should have conceded more. Ipswich Town, it's going to have to be a D, I'm afraid. 11th is no way near it when it comes to a squad of that quality. When you go out and make as many transfers as Ipswich did in the summer, and it's not just, players from who are too good for the league below, it's actually players that you're cherry picking from the best teams in League One and some of the best teams in the Championship, you expect a lot better than what we've seen. I also think as such a big fish in this division, that makes it a little bit harder. They've really struggled to hold on to leads and also break down teams as well. Their game management has been poor at times. But with the likes of Bersant Salina, Connor Chaplin and Cameron Burgess all coming in, you would think that their quality alone would have them much higher in the division than it is right now. So you have to deem it a bit of a failure so far. Lincoln City, I'm going to give them a C-. They're kind of victims of their own success here. Finishing 5th last season was completely unexpected and an unbelievable achievement. However, was it an overachievement? I think it really was, and to have the same goal this year is surely unrealistic. Although there was quite an optimistic start, it's been very difficult for Lincoln City in recent weeks, and a big reason for that are the losses of Brennan Johnson and Morgan Rogers from Nottingham Forest and Man City, respectively. Those two loan signings were so crucial last season in terms of creating chances. Anthony Scully, superb in the early weeks of the season, has had a great season overall, but hasn't had much help elsewhere. And at the moment, when you're looking at goals for the end of the season, for Lincoln City, it's just to stay up at this stage. MK Dons, B+. It's a B+ and not a B just because they stick to their principles. First of all, those principles of play, the way that they play, the style, it's very expansive, the great passing as well. That's a huge reason for it. The reason why they don't get a higher mark is the fact that they're currently in 9th position, and really with the squad that they've got, you would expect them to be that little bit higher. They're the only team in League One to go past the 10,000 pass mark. They're also playing that with a nice little tempo about it as well, 14.3 passes per minute, which is pretty relentless in terms of moving the ball, and it shows that broader philosophy that they have has been able to be carried on by Manning, especially after Russell Martin, of course, moved to Swansea. They move the ball quickly. They're an exciting team to watch, but at the moment, you've got to be a bit concerned that if they don't go up this season, there's going to be quite a few offers from Championship clubs for their players. None more so than Scott Twine, who has to get a mention when we talk about MK Dons. 15 goal involvement so far this season from a 22-year-old. He's been absolutely fantastic, and if we were grading individuals here, he would have to have his own bracket. He's been that good. Morecambe, C+. Doing well considering it's their first season in League One. Morecambe are currently sat in 21st position, but they're looking at Shrewsbury Town. They're just 2 points off, and they have them in their crosshairs. For Morecambe, I think they've done really, really well. As I said, it's their first season in League One. They lost Derek Adams in the summer to Bradford City. And so for them to get on with it and to do as well as they have and still be in the hunt to stay up this season is absolutely huge for them. Having someone like Cole Stockton in your ranks is so important for a newly promoted team. He's been on fire, scoring goals from the halfway line. His XG is 8.2. He's actually scored 13 goals so far this season. He's been on fire, and he could be the man that keeps them up this year. Oxford United, I'm going to give them an A. They don't really get the praise they deserve. You don't see many people praising Oxford United, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on the League of 72, that's right. So if you're an Oxford United fan, hit the like button. Carl Robinson deserves some credit here because they're really fun to watch. Really, really fun to watch. And they've been pretty impressive as well. Of course, they're in 6th place at the time of recording. Only Rotherham at the moment have a higher XG from open play, 28.1 to Oxford United's 25.2. Oxford have made the most progressive passes as a squad in League One so far this season, 1,817. And what that stat says is that this Oxford United side are really fun to watch. They move the ball quite quickly and they want to get forward and attack the opposition, which is great to see. Plymouth Argyle, A, based on 90% of Lowe's time there. Got to be a little bit concerned there now. Ryan Lowe has made his way to Preston North End, and with the January transfer window on the horizon, will he be looking back and trying to get some of those players who did so well for him? But that is exactly the fact. They have done very well for them. Likes of Ryan Hardy, Luke Jeffcott, Broom in midfield. It's an exciting team, and if Schumacher can carry on in the same way, there's no reason why they can continue to punch above their weight and get themselves in the playoffs this season. Portsmouth, B+, one of the most informed teams in the division. They're very, very tough to beat, this Portsmouth side. Last 9 games unbeaten, 6 wins, 3 draws, and they're looking to steamroll into the playoff positions as the league progresses. The Cowley brothers have done really, really well as the season's progressed. Some awkward results at the start of the season, but they've now really got into their flow and they're dominating games of football at the moment. 53% possession throughout the season, the 4th best defensive record as well in the league, having only conceded 22 goals. You do not want to face these guys in the playoffs because they're going to be very, very hard to beat. Rotherham, A++. Best team in the league. Rotherham are genuinely the best team in the league so far this season, and it's quite easy to prove it. I mean, first of all, they've scored the most goals, 43. Secondly, they've conceded the least, 15. Pretty easy. Joking aside, they're just a really well-run club, aren't they? Paul Warne, fantastic stuff from him again, coming down, and they were unfortunate to come down from the Championship, and they've got a lot of Championship players. Good individuals are all pulling together in the same direction. Got to have a mention to the likes of Michael Smith up top. Daniel Barlasser as well has been fantastic. They've been a class above pretty much 90% of the players in League One so far this season. They're going to be so hard to stop, and I can't see how they don't make it into those top 2 automatic promotion places. Sheffield Wednesday, I'm going to give them a B because they've done well to be in the playoff conversation at this stage of the season with the way that they went down last season. Surprisingly for some, Sheffield Wednesday have actually only lost 3 games so far this season, despite sitting in 7th position. We've spoken about it, how congested it is there in those playoff places. But for Sheffield Wednesday to be keeping pace with the pack, I think is something they should be really, really happy with as we turn into the new year. They're struggling for a match winner at times. Lee Gregory has been that man for them so far this season, but probably not as much as he would have liked. Top scoring with 8, you've then got Canberry with 4, so the goals haven't totally been there. The dominance hasn't totally been there, and there have been way too many draws. 10 draws so far this season, which is way too much if you want to get yourself into the playoffs. That said, if you can keep tight, not concede that many, and get yourself turning those draws into some victories, then Sheffield Wednesday have got themselves in a place where they could really make a push for the playoffs. Shrewsbury Town is going to have to be a D because they are in danger of dropping out of League One for the first time in 7 years. Last season, Shrewsbury Town finished 17th, 7 points off the relegation places. This season, they find themselves in 20th position in the league, just 2 points off of newbies Morecambe. Could it come down to a shootout between the two? Who knows? But they're certainly flirting with relegation at the moment, which would see them drop out of League One for the first time since 2014. The saving grace could be, and keep an eye out for this, their set-piece rigidity. Stick with me. So far, they've conceded 8 goals from set pieces, yet their XG from set plays is 4.2. So they've been quite unlucky at times. Look at Morecambe. 100 shots so far have been conceded from set pieces by Morecambe. So over the course of the season, those set piece goals, we know how important they are in League One or in any form of football. That could come to hurt Morecambe as time goes on and save Shrewsbury in the other direction. Sunderland, I'm going to give them a B. They've had some ups, they've had some downs. They're currently up again. We'll see. It's fair to say it's been patchy in places for Streaky Lee and Sunderland as far as they're concerned this season. Started off like a house on fire, working really well. Great chemistry between the players. You got the Loch Ness Drogba up there as well, scoring goals. Good old Ross Stewart. But then there was those 3 defeats straight back to back. Charlton, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, all 3 tough teams, of course. You've got to remember that, which was tough for Sunderland fans to take. Lee Johnson has been able to steady the ship since then, and they're back on a lovely run of form, 7 unbeaten. The problem's been away from home, hasn't it? At home, they've got the best record in the division, only lost 1 game at home so far this season, but away from home, it's the 9th best away record, only winning 4 of the 11 games they've played away so far. So they need to tighten up there, which they have done a little bit over recent weeks. They're also 3rd in the league, so this could be the year, guys. This could be the year that Sunderland finally make their way back into the Championship. Wigan Athletic, A. A roller coaster of a club who could be on their way back up. After securing crucial investment, Wigan were able to get some quality players through the door in the summer, and that's kind of led them to where they are in the division at the moment, in 2nd place. And they play some great football as well. The likes of James McLean, Gwion Edwards, Charlie White, just to name a few. And you've got some good players there as well, the likes of Will Keane and, of course, Callum Lang, and it's just been a really, really good season for them so far. Last time Wigan lost a game was October 23rd, a 2-1 defeat to Lincoln City, and since then they've gone from strength to strength and flexed their muscles, beating Plymouth 2-1 away from home and other promotion rivals, Oxford United 3-2 as well. They get an A for the consistency of their performances and the consistency of their overall form so far this season. And Wycombe Wanderers, A-. Started strong, had a few hiccups along the way, but they've been generally very good. I think most people in the world of football have got a soft spot for Gareth Ainsworth. I certainly do, and he's continuing to do just a stunning job at Wycombe. You could have forgiven them for being a bit solemn in how they started this season after that unlucky relegation last year, but this year they've just carried on. It's like they've given them this added motivation. And it's what's really interesting with Wycombe is you see a different style of play here. Average possession for Wycombe so far this season, 43%. Don't let that fool you that this is a Wycombe side that isn't effective in how they play as well, because they've got the 3rd most expected goals in League One so far this season with 35.97. Really lovely blend of players that have been there quite a while, have gone through the leagues with them, but also that mix of experienced players who needed a new challenge and a new vibrancy put into them, and that's what Gareth Ainsworth does, the likes of Sam Vokes, McCleary as well. They've done really well. There's been some avoidable defeats. Ipswich Town 4-1 there. MK Dons was avoidable as well, but overall they're a really, really tough team to beat. So there you have it, guys. What do you think? Get into the comments and let me know which ones I got right, which ones I got wrong, and just let's have a chat, shall we? Go on, you might as well. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel, as I've said, if you don't want to miss out on the next episode of this where we have a look at the Championship teams. And make sure you go and check out those League 2 gradings right this second. I'll see you in the next one.